Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Marina Grosser from Washington, D.C. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Pope Francis visited the Basilica of St. Mary Major in Rome on Wednesday morning, ahead of his 41st Apostolic journey to Hungary. The Holy Father prayed for the Blessed Virgin Mary's protection for the impending journey before returning to the Vatican. Pope Francis will visit Budapest, the capital of Hungary, from April 28th to the 30th. On Friday, April 28th, the Holy Father's busy schedule comprises a meeting with the Prime Minister and the President at the Sandor Palace. This would be followed by a meeting with members of civil society and members of the diplomatic corps in the former Carmelite monastery. Later in the evening, the pontiff will meet with bishops, priests, deacons, consecrated persons, seminarians, and pastoral workers in St. Stephen's Co-Cathedral. On Saturday, April 29th, the Pope will undertake a private visit to the children of Blessed Laszlo Bethiani Stratman Institute in Budapest. Then he will meet with poor people and refugees in St. Elizabeth of Hungary Church. He will also pay a visit to the Greek Catholic community and meet with young people at Pop Laszlo's Budapest Sport Arena. Later, there will be a private meeting with members of the Society of Jesus in the Apostolic Nunciature. On the final day of his visit, the Holy Father will preside over Holy Mass in Kossuth Lajos Square. Then he will meet with the academic and cultural world at the Faculty of Information Technology and Bionics of the Catholic University Peter Pazmani. After a farewell ceremony at the Budapest International Airport in the evening, the Pope will depart for Rome. We have our reporter Niall McDonough and the Shalom World crew in Budapest to bring you the latest updates. Let's have a quick look at the report prepared by Niall about the preparations of the papal visit, which is going to begin in a few hours.
Hello and welcome. The full Shalom World crew are here in Budapest, Hungary for the 41st Apostolic visit of the Holy Father, Pope Francis himself. And we are here to bring you the latest updates and live coverage of all the events as they unfold. I'm standing here in Sandor Palace, which is where the Holy Father will be having his welcome ceremony. There is great buzz and excitement in the air at the imminent arrival of Pope Francis. He has an action-packed, jam-packed schedule while he is here. He's going to be meeting the President, politicians, but of course we know that the Holy Father has a habit to seek out those on the margins of society. So while he is here, he'll be visiting an institute for the blind, the refugees, and also the poor. Because as Pope Francis says, that the greatest poverty is not a material one, but a poverty of love. So on this papal visit, this mission, Pope Francis helps to spread the motto for this apostolic visit, that Jesus Christ is our future. So please join us and the full crew to watch all the steps as they unfold and follow in the footsteps of the Holy Father. Niall McDonough, Budapest, Shalom World TV.
Stay tuned to Shalom World for the special live coverage and latest updates of the apostolic journey of Pope Francis to Hungary from tomorrow onwards. The World Health Organization has warned that death rates in conflict-hit Sudan are likely to go up due to outbreaks of diseases and a lack of essential services. In a media briefing, World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said that the fighting has shut down hospitals and other vital services, leaving many people isolated in their homes. Dr. Tedros added that only 16% of health facilities are functioning in the Sudanese capital. The most recent statistics from the World Health Organization said that the fighting between the Sudanese armed forces and the paramilitary rapid support forces has resulted in at least 459 deaths and 4,072 injuries since April 15th. The lower house of the British Parliament on Wednesday approved a new bill that seeks the denial of entry to asylum seekers who come in droves in small boats across the English Channel. The bill was passed after the government allowed several amendments from the Conservatives. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak had included stopping asylum seekers arriving in small boats as one of his top 5 priorities. Once it becomes law, the illegal migration bill will prevent people illegally crossing the Channel from claiming asylum. They will either be deported to their home country or to so-called safe third countries. The bill was approved in the House of Commons during the third reading by 289 votes to 230 votes. It will now move to the House of Lords, where there are chances of it being amended or delayed. Meanwhile, some charities and critics of the bill are up in arms, saying the provisions of the bill are not practical and could criminalize the efforts taken by thousands of people who are in genuine need of asylum. A whistleblower has exposed the U.S. government's involvement in a sophisticated network of young migrants being trafficked into forced labor and other types of slavery. Whistleblower Tara Lee Rodas was a witness in a hearing on Wednesday titled "The Biden Border Crisis: Exploitation of Unaccompanied Alien Children." Rodas said the U.S. government has become the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation that is run by bad actors seeking to profit off of the lives of children. She was assigned to work with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services at an emergency intake site in Pomona, California. Rodas urged senators to take action to safeguard the lives of these vulnerable children. The hearing was sponsored by the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Immigration, Integrity, Security, and Enforcement. The Bishop's Synod office has announced that at least 36 women will be voting members of the Synod of Bishops meeting in October. According to a statement issued by the Synod office, the Holy Father has accepted the inclusion of 70 non-bishops in the Synodal Assembly, including priests, deacons, consecrated men and women, and lay persons. The Secretary for the Synod has announced that the 70 people will comprise lay people nominated directly by the Pope, 50% of whom will be women and some young people. At the Assembly, which will include roughly 370 voting members out of more than 400 participants, all 70 will have voting rights. The House of Representatives in Oklahoma approved a bill that will outlaw discrimination against religious organizations when they get public funding, and it is now on Governor Kevin Stitt's desk. The Oklahoma Religious Freedom Act says it would be substantially burdensome to deny any individual or entity access to or receipt of government funds, services, programs, or exemptions based simply on their religious affiliation or character. If it becomes law, the bill will open the door for state-funded religious charter schools. Various pro-life advocates have decried the Italian medicine's move to make birth control drugs available to women of all ages for free. The move comes under scrutiny as the nation is grappling with a rapidly declining birth rate. The Italian Minister of Economy, Giancarlo Giorgetti, has already devised plans to fight against the shrinking population and combating the demographic crisis by using tax benefits to encourage families to have children. Pro Vita and Familia, a pro-family organization, said that it is irresponsible to provide birth control drugs without underlining their dangerous physical and psychological adverse effects. The group also warned that it encourages young girls to flood their bodies with hormones. The decision was taken by the Italian Medicines Agency's Pricing and Reimbursement Committee, and it is currently awaiting approval from the agency's board of directors before going into effect. The estimated cost to the state is around 140 million euros per year. In Brazil, the National Day of the Men's Rosary will be celebrated every year on September 8th, the solemnity of the Nativity of the Virgin Mary. This was approved by the Chamber of Deputies in June last year and in the Senate in March this year. The legislation supporting this initiative was authored by Deputy Eros Biondini. In his proposal, he justified the relevance of the Rosary of Men, its intense devotional significance for Brazilian Catholics, and the strengthening of a fair society. The Catholic movement Terço dos Homens is behind the Men's Rosary and has been in existence for 86 years. It began with 200 men in Vila de Providencia on September 8, 1936, and today it counts around 2.5 million men. They assemble in groups to recite the Rosary every week in their parishes, chapels, or public squares. Catholic parents vehemently protested during a Catholic district school board meeting in Canada's southern Ontario on Tuesday against the proposal to fly a gay pride flag at its central office throughout June, which is observed as Gay Pride Month. The loud protests of the Catholic parents forced the York Catholic District School Board meeting to call off the vote on the proposal. During the meeting, the first speaker was shouted down by angry parents who said the whole idea was anti-Catholic. Even though security officials removed some of the protesters from the room, many continued to protest from the lobby. Outside the meeting, about 24 Catholic parents verbally confronted those who supported the pride flag proposal, chanting "shame" in unison. They also accused them of failing to maintain fidelity to Catholic teaching. The board represents 85 Catholic elementary schools and 16 Catholic secondary schools in 9 municipalities in southern Ontario. And those are your latest headlines. Join us again tomorrow for more. You can also visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.